Welcome, fellow seekers of the deep. Today, we are not just skimming the surface. We are taking a full-on deep dive into a mystery hidden right in the heart of the Zohar. And it's a warning, an ancient secret about a kind of power that is so real, so seductive, but also profoundly dangerous. And this isn't just some dusty old story. It's about the very architecture of reality itself. So, let's get into it. So here's our path for today's journey. We're going to start with this really cinematic encounter with some forbidden knowledge. Then we'll decode the logic behind these astral cults, why it's so alluring but also deeply flawed. We'll use a cool modern tech analogy to really pinpoint the error in their system, then map out the true spiritual architecture that the sages describe, and then we'll bring it all home, making it practical for our own lives before finally talking about how to reclaim our most important connection. Okay. So our story begins not in some library or study, but in a place of ancient, raw power, a place the Zohar calls, very cryptically, the Mountains of the East. I want you to just imagine this for a second. Picture a starlit ancient city. The air is thick with desert spices, a sense of forgotten time. And we're following this great sage, Rabbi Abba, walking through these winding, moonlit streets. He feels this pull, this energy, leading him to a hidden spot where he finds a cache of mysterious books. They're bound in some kind of strange leather, and when he opens one, the pages aren't just text. They're filled with these breathtaking celestial diagrams that almost seem to glow with their own inner starlight. These are the books of the East, and what they promise is a key, a kind of technology for harnessing the very power, the coach of the heavens. But as Rabbi Abba is looking at these beautiful, intricate star maps, he feels something's off. A subtle disharmony, a kind of spiritual static. The allure is just undeniable, but it's tinged with this profound danger. He actually turns to his sons and says, you have to distance yourselves from these books. So right away, you have to ask, if this knowledge is so powerful, what on earth makes it so dangerous? So, how does this work? Well, the power of these books, the reason they've captivated people for literally thousands of years, is because they are built on a partial truth. And let's be honest. A partial truth is often way more seductive and way more dangerous than just an outright lie. You see, the books of the East correctly identify this fundamental cosmic law. It's Itaruta de letata, which means an arousal from below. Basically, your intentions, your desires, your actions right here on Earth, they genuinely do arouse a corresponding spiritual force from the cosmos, and they draw it down into your life. The Zohar is crystal clear about this. What you stir up inside yourself, whether it's an urge for holiness or an urge for something impure, that is exactly the kind of energy you're going to attract from above. The system works. That's the part they got right. Now, here's where it gets really interesting and really sneaky. The forbidden books took that true principle and they systematized it. They turned it into this predictable, almost scientific transaction. They mapped every single human desire to a specific planet or celestial body. You want love? Oh, go to Venus. You need some expansion in wealth? Petition Jupiter. It basically turns the vast, living, breathing cosmos into a kind of spiritual vending machine. And that feels empowering, right? It makes the user feel like they're in total control of the cosmic flow. It's a technology for getting what you want. And the Zohar and Tikkun Zohar describe the exact practice. You'd figure out your goal, find the star or the mazal that governs it, and then you'd go out and gather specific herbs that resonate with its particular energy. You'd create a physical image, a diakna, or a talisman of that star, and then you'd burn it all together as an offering, speaking these words of power, not to God, but to the star itself, trying to compel that specific astral force to do your bidding. And here's the hook, the thing that makes it so sticky. For the person doing it, it seems to work. They get a result. But right here, this is it. This is the sod, the great secret, and the profound danger the Zohar is practically screaming for us to understand. This is the fatal flaw in the system. So you're probably thinking, okay, if it seems to work, what's the big deal? Well, the danger isn't that it's fake magic. Oh no. The danger is that it's real, but it's critically, fatally misdirected. The books of the East make a fundamental error of attribution. They totally misidentify the source of the power. They treat the stars, the planets, the constellations, not as channels or servants, but as gods themselves. It's like treating the mailman as the person who actually wrote the letters. To really get this, let's use a modern analogy. Think of your prayer, your will, your deepest desire as an API call. It's a request for data, for energy that you're sending out into the cosmos. You're the developer, And you need a specific function, a specific result to show up in your reality. Now, you've got two paths for your request. The astral path, the one from those forbidden books, it routes your API call to a third-party plugin, say a specific star, like Jupiter. And yeah, that plugin, that star, it can process the request. It can give you a result, but it's always going to be a distorted, limited, filtered power. It's basically a spoofed interface, giving you a fragment of what you asked for, and usually with a bunch of hidden strings attached. The true path, the one the sages teach, sends that same API call directly to the root server, the one, singular, unified source of all power. And from there, the energy flows down cleanly, purely, and without any limits through all the proper channels. And this quote just nails the core error. The Tikkun Zohar is so explicit about this. It's a fundamental violation. It's a diversion of your worship, your connection, your very soul power away from the true source and toward the intermediaries. It's like trying to run a computer program by ignoring the operating system and trying to get processing power directly from one single transistor. You might get a tiny little spark, but you're ignoring the source of all real power, and you're violating the entire architecture of the system. Okay, so if the astral path is a misconfigured system, what is the true system? Let's map out the cosmic engineering according to the sages. The correct system, the true divine architecture, operates through the 10 Sephirot. Now, these are not 10 different gods or separate powers you can bargain with. Not at all. Think of them as 10 dimensions, 10 facets, 10 interactive qualities of one single, indivisible, unified source, the Ein Sof, the infinite. These are the pristine, original channels of divine flow. The number 10 is so key here. It represents a complete, whole, unified system. Visually, think of the energy flowing from the source through the 10 Sephirot as a brilliant, complete, unified white light. It contains all the colors, all the possibilities, all within it. This is root-level access to the pure, original, creative force of the entire universe. Now contrast that unified white light with the 7 classical planets and the 12 constellations of the astral system. These are not sources, they're filters, they're intermediaries. Think of them like prisms that take that original, pure white light and fracture it into separate, colored, and incomplete beams of light. So Mars gives you a red beam, Venus gives you a green one. They are downstream effects, not the upstream cause. The astral cults teach you to worship the individual colors while totally forgetting about the unified white light that is their source. So the crucial point is this: your own intention, where you point your consciousness, that determines the path your request takes. When you seek connection with the source, your desire goes up and draws down a pure, Holy Spirit, a Ruach Kadisha, which is an energy that is whole, integrated, and totally life-giving. But when you intentionally direct your desire to compel a single, isolated intermediary, you draw down what the Zohar calls a Ruach Mesaba, an impure spirit. And it's impure not because it's evil like in a cartoon, but because it's detached, it's fragmented, it's disconnected from the unified, life-giving whole. Okay, I know, this is a vast cosmic map. So how do we actually apply this to our own lives, right here, right now? Let's bring it all the way down to earth with a couple of final analogies. For the younger folks, or hey, the young at heart, think of life as this huge, open-world video game. The world is just filled with these glittering, temporary power-ups. You know, an astrological charm might give you a +5 to charisma for an hour. A ritual to Mars might give you a temporary attack boost. The books of the East are basically strategy guides for collecting all these fake, flashy power-ups. They teach you to become an expert at farming these temporary boosts, while distracting you from the game's real goal, finding the hidden path to the source code, where the true, unlimited, and permanent power really lives. Why would you settle for a temporary health potion when you can get access to the infinite health cheat code? Now, for the adults in the room, let's talk system architecture. Are you operating your life with user-level permissions? You know, only able to access these pre-packaged, sandboxed, third-party astral apps? Or are you seeking root-level, administrative access to the core operating system of reality? The astral path is a misconfigured system. It's a piece of legacy code that routes divine energy through these distorting, inefficient nodes. It creates dependencies and all kinds of spiritual bugs. True connection is about establishing a clean, direct, secure channel to the one, singular source of all hocus, all power. It's about being a system architect, not just an end user clicking on a bunch of flawed apps. So the ultimate takeaway from this Zoharic secret isn't just a warning against doing something wrong. It's actually a powerful empowerment to do something right. The deep wisdom of the Zohar isn't to deny that these astral forces exist, not at all. It's to put them in their proper place. They are signs in the sky, not sources of power. They are cosmic servants, not masters. So the real spiritual work, for all of us, is to purify our own desire. It's to cleanse our intention, so that when we send out that API call, it isn't addressed to some subordinate agent, but it goes directly to the true and only source, bypassing all the noise, all the filters, and all the spiritual static. Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.